Hello, YouTubers. It's Alan. Hey, just as a side note, check out this super cool California wood cutout art that I've got. It was made by the 14-year-old boy who lives across the street from us, and my mom bought it from him for me for Christmas. Super cool. Yeah. So, I'm here to talk about barbershops and how they work and how to navigate that, because I would imagine there might be some of you who want to go to a barbershop and haven't done that yet, because that's a position I was in a couple of years ago, and I actually looked up stuff online, like, so that I would have a sense of the etiquette, because I was afraid of not passing and having awkward situations. Um, so, let me tell you. Alright, so, um, similar to supercuts, but different from a salon, you do not need an appointment, and I would say probably most people, as far as I know, don't make appointments for barbershops, but some people do. I mean, it's fairly common. So you can just drop in anytime, and so you might have to wait, of course, if there's a line. So if there's a line, that means you would see guys sitting in chairs waiting. Now, when you come in, you don't need to, like, talk to a barber or something to tell them that you're there. What happens is you just sit down in a chair and you look at the other people waiting, and you keep track of who is already there and then who comes in after you, so everybody just keeps track of where they are in line. And you don't sit in a line in the chairs, like you can sit anywhere, you just make a note of who is there before you. And now if there's nobody waiting, and if a barber is just hanging out ready for you, then you just walk over to him, say hello, and then he has you sit down in the chair, and you get started. Now, if you want a particular barber and you're waiting for that one, then if another barber is ready for you, if it's your turn, then you just say, no, I'm waiting for him, and then the next person in line will go with the free barber. So that's how that works. Um, um, Now, well, I was going to give a little anecdote, but it's actually really boring and not really a story, so I'll move on. Okay. So I can just say a word about different kinds of barbershops. So I've been to a number of different ones, and they tend to all be a little bit different in some way. Like, the first one that I went to in the Bay Area, that one was sort of interesting in that, as I remember, I think there were TVs, or a TV, and nobody talked, really. Like, that's just how that barbershop went. People didn't really talk. Like, the barbers wouldn't really ask you any chit-chat questions. So that was okay, I guess. I'm not really into talking to strangers anyway. I find it kind of stressful. And then I went to another one time in the town where I currently live, where it was meant to be sort of like a young person's, like, cool barbershop. And they had, like, a checkerboard floor, you know, black and white, and they had sort of tattoo art, and so a young guy cut my hair, and I didn't really like that place, partly because it was more expensive than most typical barbershops, and also because I felt sort of out of place, because, you know, I'm a professor, I'm very just bookish and kind of nerdy, and the guy who cut my hair was, like, into, I don't, you know, stuff like tattoos, motorcycles, cars, skateboards, and so he talked kind of like a bro, you know, and I that makes me feel sort of out of place. So I was like trying to make myself not seem as nerdy as I really am. And it's especially weird because of how I look. Like, I look really young. I'm 33, as I always tell you guys, but I look younger than that, apparently. I mean, maybe I'm starting to look a little older, but um, so it's like people think, especially, you know, wearing a t shirt like this, that I'm some, like, college age bro, but I'm not really, so that's sort of odd. Um, so I didn't go back to that barbershop. So the one that I have been going to a lot is, it just seems kind of usual to me. It doesn't really have any features that make it stick out as really different from other barbershops. There are like three older guys who are barbers and then one younger guy, and I've had haircuts from all of them at some point, and they're all pretty good. I don't necessarily have a really strong favorite, so I just go with whoever's free because I don't really want to wait and I don't really want to try to make an appointment because I like to just do it at my convenience. And they're all nice, like, we chit chat a little bit, but not that much necessarily, unless they're asking me all these questions and are really into it. Um, so, yeah, so I guess the moral of those stories is, you know, try some different barbershops to see what you like and to see if you can find a barber who cuts your hair how you like. So, speaking of the actual hair cutting, as with any hair cutting place, the barber asks you what you want, and so what I've learned through my barber haircuts is that, well, actually, this I just got a haircut. I actually forgot to mention that in the beginning, which is pretty silly. This is why I'm making this video. I just got my hair cut this afternoon, which is why it's combed like this, because I don't normally comb my hair, like, kind of slicked back like this. So that's why I look different. So, okay, so this haircut that I got today, this length on the sides is with a number 3 clipper, you know, electric clipper. So that's what the number 3 looks like. Although, I have to say, I always ask for a number 3, and it's never exactly the same, which is weird. Um, now, okay, yeah, so if you haven't had your hair cut at a place where they do the numbers of the length of the electric clippers on the sides and back, it may take you a little while to figure it out. So if you don't know, as I didn't, the first time that you go into the barber, you can just say, I want it short, like, give them an estimation or something like that. I mean, I think what I said in the beginning was probably like, I want the sides and back short, but not like an army haircut or something like that. So then, back then when I was first going to a barber, the guy ultimately told me, like, oh, well, what I just did was a number 2 or a number 3. A number 2 is shorter than a number 3. The number 2 was too short for me. That's probably what I got in one of those videos from like over a year ago when I was like, I just had a haircut and it's way too short. So once you get to know what you want, you could just say, like what I say is, I want a number 3 on the sides and back, tapered. From my understanding, tapered means that they do it where it's sort of like, where you don't have like lines of different lengths. It's like blended. Is blended the word? No, I think tapered is the word, I think. And then tapered also means on the back, like the back of my hair is tapered rather than squared off. I can't tell how much you can't tell where that is in the frame. So squared off is where the back of your hair has a square. I do not like that personally. So I just say that, and then I say a little bit longer on the top than on the sides and back. And it's kind of different every time. um, but, well, not really that different. I'm happy with my haircut every time. I have to say, actually, on that note, I tend to be much happier with my haircuts now that I'm getting a men's cut. Because in past years, before I transitioned, and I would get a short haircut, but they didn't give me a men's cut. I was never really happy with that, and I never quite knew how to make it different. You know, what to say to make it different. But now I just go to the barber, and it's like, how bad could it be? Like, this is what I'm going for. Looks good. I'm happy with it. Anyway, okay, what else? This is really long, and I have other things to mention. Like, how does that happen? I don't know. I guess I tell stories. I don't know. So, okay. Let's see if I can make this brief. So, in the beginning, before I was on T or before I had been on T for very long, I was concerned about passing. I was really nervous when I would go to the barber. But I never had any problems. I mean, I have to say, I have pretty much always passed since starting T, and then I would sort of pass a lot of the time even before T. So I'm lucky in terms of my genetics, I guess. I don't know. But so one thing that I would be concerned about, or that I am, well, I wouldn't say I'm concerned about it anymore, but it crosses my mind, is my lack of facial hair, because I've been on T for 2 years, and I mean, I did shave yesterday, but it's really not much at all. But that, I never had any consequences with that. No awkward moments. Nobody said anything about it at the barber. Because, you know, the barber obviously sees close up. So they see if you have anything there or not. But I would say don't worry about that too much. Um, and so I would say, in the interest of passing, or just in the interest of having a good, normal experience at the barber, like, if you're nervous, just try to relax, because they're not, like, inspecting you closely. They're not gonna be, like, suspicious of anybody. Like, they're just there to cut your hair, so I'm sure that you don't stand out as much as you might fear that you do. And just try to act relaxed. Just try to act like it's all casual and you know what you're doing. I think in most situations in life that tends to work pretty well. Um, and so, sort of a funny story. I don't know if anybody would be in this situation or not, but so the town that I live in is where I grew up. It's where I went to high school, and I'd been away for a long time at college, grad school, working, and then I came back last year. So, going to barbers, it's been interesting because they're like, "Oh, are you a student at the college?" And I'm like, "No, I teach at colleges, actually." Like, I have to go through that conversation every time because they always forget, because it's not like I've been to one barber guy many times yet. So I always go through that same routine. And so they're like, "Oh, are you from here, or where are you from?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm from here. I grew up here." And they're like, "Oh, did you go to high school here?" And I say, "Yes." And they said, "Oh, did you get your haircut here when you were young?" And I go like, "No." Because, see, these guys have worked there for decades. So, I mean, I guess I could just lie and say yes, but you wouldn't remember me because I looked different when I was little. I don't know. But I said no, and I did not anticipate this question. So, oh man. So, probably the first time that one of them asked me that, I just basically told the truth. It felt sort of awkward at the time, but then, especially in hindsight, I was like, "Oh my god, I cannot believe I said that." So, what I said was, "No, actually, I just got my hair cut where my mom got her hair cut," which is true. And um, yeah, that might have been a weird thing to say, but they probably didn't think that much about it. They didn't say anything. Anyway, so I've thought about what I would say if they asked me that again, because I'm sure it could certainly happen again. So I think what I would probably make something up because I don't want to say that again. So I might say like, "Oh, I like my mom just gave me a buzz cut at home when I was little," or my mom cut my hair, but now that I'm a adult professional, I want to not have my mom cut my hair because she's not a professional, or like, "Oh, I got buzz cuts at home when I was little and I had longer hair in high school actually because I was a hippie," or something like that. I don't know. So, if you are getting your hair cut in the same town where you've lived for a long time or same town where you grew up, think about what you would say in response to that question. Uh, I guess that's probably all that I have to say. I mean, feel free to ask questions. I'm happy to answer questions. And I just could add that I do really like going to a barber rather than something like Supercuts, because Supercuts, I mean, it's like a chain, just like chain restaurants or chain stores. It's not really that interesting. It's kind of soulless, and I like to support local business, so there's that. Plus, I have always hated the smell of hair products, like conventional shampoo, as opposed to the shampoo that you get at the health, like natural food store. I hate that smell. So that's a good thing about barbershops. You don't get that smell because they don't really do much with any products. They don't wash your hair like salons wash your hair, for one example. So there's that, and it's just relaxing. I find barbershops pretty calm, and supercuts or salons don't quite have the same vibe. So I definitely like barbershops, and I like supporting local business. Um, so that's about it. Wow, I would have no idea that this video would be so long. Well, anyway, there you go. Thank you for watching. See you later. Bye.